Hey, Daisy.
Hello, how are you?
Pretty good.
Just woke back up.
Oh, shit.
I don't know how you feeling about everything.
I did a lot of like reverse. I think Pred is going to be fine if the system's not bullshit.
You think so?
Um, sorry, just ran up and down a flight of stairs like 10 times over. Um, so the way that I kind of chop it up is I ask myself the following question. For them to have raided him, he would have had to have had, they would have had to have found weapons. I can't get over the fact that they either raided him off a single gun, or that would have been negligent ownership of a firearm. If it was more than one gun, how did they come across these guns all of a sudden? And then whoever's looking into this would have known the guy didn't have a warehouse until last night. So how did the raid conclude without the apartment being raided? Doesn't make any logical sense. So
I don't know. I mean, nobody talked to myself or Peters about it.
yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
No, I don't. If you did know, I wouldn't, pry. But
No, but I mean, I don't know. I kind of spent some time. Oh, sorry, I just got in a car accident. I, I took some time to kind of think about it, and the thing that, like, I find kind of concerning about it, right, and about just kind of what happened today with, the marshals going into the meeting and everything, and this kind of fear of being fired from the PD. I have to kind of look at like my own sort of actions, right? And what have Peters and I done that this people didn't feel like they could come and speak to us about it, you know?
yeah.
Is there something that we did that caused people to not want to talk to us about it? Nino?
You mean the Pred stuff?
The Pred stuff, and then just this shit with Tackleberry, you know? Um, what is you know, uh, I don't know. I mean, like the fact that we didn't know that this was happening until it was happening is concerning.
It's by design. I don't think it's I mean, it's been by design. if this is, it's very pattern behavior, is had they come to you like a normal professional and brought these issues to you, you would have an opportunity to resolve it. But instead, they very systematically listen to concerns that line up with their political beliefs. And they use those moments as a gotcha. And because they have been given the appointed powers that gave them the responsibility to look after the state, they use that power to weaponize it to force individuals into their vision of what San Andreas should be. So, was Tackleberry wrong to be concerned? Let's validate his thoughts. Maybe he felt that it was unfair. But the problem is that they listened to a voice. And they said, aha, this is how we're going to go and take more power. And if this was a singular incident, you could be like, well, you know, Nino, you're jumping in conclusions. Got to give people the benefit of the doubt. But then I look at the text messages I got where someone went crying to Angel and she made up a mind and then attempted to direct me with an order. We then look at a raid on Pred, which is so, in which the fact that you guys didn't even know this was happening, there's no way this happened over the last 24 hours. Like, reasonably, this couldn't have been uncovered over the last 24 hours. Someone had an agenda, and that agenda would have been known by the marshals, who just decided that they're gonna go join in because they were asked for help? Bullshit. This is all by design. And I don't think there is any room for remorse, because remorse is only valuable for those who are gonna feel remorse. You know? Just as, you know, there's a desire for Pred not to be in power, me to be in power. The side comments over the last 3 months, I have no room for any sympathy for these bastards. And I think generally it's valuable to look on the inside and say, is this something I could have done better? But not in this game. Not in this game that they're playing. Because in this game, they think they're the cod dealer. And that cod dealer is about to get their fucking hands chopped off. Legally speaking, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you know, so this audit that they're doing, you know, obviously it's directed at myself and Peters.
It's a facade, though.
What do you mean?
It's a facade. Everybody that patrols generally has not been approached. When it was announced at that meeting, everyone's like, what the fuck? The only people that they audited, and I'm telling you right now, I will put my, I'll put anything on it. They probably talked to Vivian, probably talked to Tackleberry. They probably talked to people that they know already had negative opinions. And that's how they that's how they generate a pattern. If there was issues to begin with, any fucking adult, when they're presented with a problem, right? So-and-so is doing this. You do it all the time. You go talk to the other party. They didn't do that. Because if they talk to another party, it opens a, discredit, how do I put it? If they speak to somebody else about it, someone who's like pro-Moss, well, all of a sudden their argument falls apart. So, you know, it's
I don't know. It's it I think it's difficult, right? Because uh and this goes back to kind of what we were saying before. Like nothing ever actually gets brought up to me, you know?
nope.
Like Angel does not speak to me. The marshals have approached me about some issues with officers that, worked through,
Yeah.
or they've let me know that they're doing investigations and that's fine. It's, their business.
Yeah.
But nobody has come up to me and said, these are the things that we have noticed or are inherent issues that we need to see worked on, you know?
Um,
And so I don't really know what their expectations are moving forward, or,
their
what.
expectation is that you leave, and then I leave office.
I mean, at the end of so with the BCSO stuff, right?
Mm.
When BCSO got upset about the SOP and didn't want to patrol in the city. And that obviously that was a difficult time for a lot of people, right? Um I I think a lot of people did the best they could. They kept their heads up, they kept
Yeah.
coming on duty, kept patrolling regardless kind of the situation.
Yeah.
But there were definitely people who were just like, I don't want to deal with it. Call me when it's over. Um
Yeah.
and the thing that where are you, by the way? I'll come
I'm down at
meet
the
you.
racetrack at the bleachers.
The racetrack,
The
okay. At
horse
the
track. Yeah.
casino?
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna grab do you need food? I'm gonna grab some food real quick.
I'm good. Yeah. Yeah. I got.
But the thing that I worry about all of this and kind of thinking about
Wait, it's a
Maxwell's
folder.
comments is, Maxwell seemed pretty down after all of that. And while she
Mm.
was like, I'm still going to keep coming on duty and keep like, doing my thing, there is an element of
She might have lost
this.
some passion today.
My
Is that what you
worry
mean?
is
Mm.
that, you know, I fight this. How does this affect other people, right? Because
Yeah.
I look at the bullshit with the certs. Um, the fact that the only person that I spoke to about the certs was Bones. That's the only way that Angel could have known about that.
Mm.
And so, and I mean, and Peters, but obviously Peters didn't talk to her about it.
Yeah.
So when I was talking to Bones about all of this, about having the joint certs, having the co-leads, as an alternative to just completely splitting the certs, he said, "Well, that seems to really benefit the LSPD." And
That's the point.
I know. And I was a little bit taken aback by that comment, because in like that moment I kind of realized that he just wants, I mean, I've already realized this, but it was just kind of, I guess,
Like reinforced
reinforcing
it.
it
Yeah.
that in Bones doesn't want anything to benefit the LSPD. He wants
Oh
the
yeah.
DCSO. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
are you guys good? Yeah, that was pretty cool, but don't speed. Be safe. Um uh but, but what I kind of realize is just like how could you
So I've been
why
thinking of
wouldn't you
44
want it to
months.
benefit both departments? Why do you only want it to benefit one over the other? You know what I mean?
Because he's a fucking snake. It's just and you saying this now, even I thought myself and Bones had come to a realization, and I'm like, maybe he's different. But even hearing this now, the reality is that they always wanted Air 1 and Interceptor because those inherently are the most important certs from a you know, from a gas guzzling perspective. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we have these big pieces. We control the fast cars and we control the skies. And the moment there's the notion of sharing, it's no longer about UPD anymore. UPD has always been a sham.
It I don't know. You know, initially my I'll be honest with you. My kind of initial reaction to realizing that, Bones had gone to Angel about the certs and everything, and then, her texting you was to say, fuck the co-leads. We're gonna go to my plan B, and that's split certs, and that only LSPD certs are gonna operate within Los Angeles County.
Yeah! She's not going to do it, though.
But given the new marshal oversight, I don't think that would even be an option.
I think you should hold that energy. And we're already cooking to contest it. And with we've been cooking since that conversation. I've given Michael some instructions. I'm hoping Pred does not crash out tomorrow, and I'm gonna advise him that whatever charges are levied against him, that regardless of outcome, if he sees it through regular court, fine. He needs to appeal it to a higher authority. And I have people that will be in the city, to be clear, who are going to be helping me audit all state legislation. Because the amount of encroaching, this is already on my agenda, is that it was part of my platform, is every state legislation is going to be audited. And if there is a pattern of encroaching beyond what the Constitution states, then we will take action. I am a really, really big fan of paperwork. I really am when I get my mind to it. And I don't think this is over. In fact, if you feel like it, you could split it. In fact, I would make the argument as follows, is that the marshals are only oversight. And to give you a reference here, right? They are in the Constitution only there to oversee. Michael is going to be referencing the federal definition of oversight in said document, so that there is no confusion about what oversight is ever intended to mean. And I think we can.
But Angel's given herself the ability to fire people within the PD and change SOPs.
That would be unconstitutional, though. The only way that I believe that you can read the powers that they've been given in the way that she's trying to interpret it is that if you're like high on fucking drugs. Oversight does not mean any of those things. I mean, tell me if you disagree. Authority and oversight are two very different things, you know. And the Constitution inherently puts those services under the under the helm of the county and the helm of the police department. So
the legislation that amendment that she wrote, right? The first line in it was something to the effect of that the state marshals have jurisdictional authority over the state, something like that, of ultimate authority. However, jurisdictional authority just means that they have, the ability to arrest people that have committed crimes. That's what jurisdictional authority means. And then she goes on to talk about PD oversight, but the way that it's written kind of gives this sort of mislead that jurisdictional authority allows her to have the ability to oversee and, fire people and amend SOPs, and they're two different things.
Yes.
Do you see what I'm trying? But I think the way that it reads, it appears that because they have jurisdictional authority, they are able to do all of the other things that they have laid out. But that's not true.
Exactly. She has cherry-picked out of the Constitution and then metastasized some bastardized version of what she believes she's been given, and then from that written these amendments.
Because if I'm going to be honest, when I wrote that SOP, I did the same thing. On purpose. I can write SOPs that dictate who can, give disciplinary action within Los Angeles County because I'm the chief of police. But it actually had nothing to do with jurisdictional authority. But I made it seem like it did.
Yeah. I think she's I think the marshals and the DOJ are playing with fire. And I will tell you this, Moss, most of the city is fucking pissed right now. And a lot of people don't even fucking know what happened yet. A lot of those that know what happened are pretty fucking mad. Because I think while we're at the forefront of all this, right, watching these actions take place, it may seem as though, oh no, am I going to be mayor? Is Pred going to be mayor? Is Moss going to be chief? How's it going to affect those immediately, under our purview? The rest of the city is going to be sitting back and watching this fucking shit show. And if I was a citizen, I'd ask myself, why is so much energy being put into this dumb shit instead of being put into us?
And I guess that goes back to where I was going earlier. What I was saying is that I worry that this fight is going to affect the morale of officers. I don't want to do anything that will make people's time on duty or just in the city in general difficult, you know.
They already deal with a lot.
I do like I genuinely, I mean, from the start, Peters and I we wanted people to, you know, obviously do a good job, do their job, but we also wanted people to enjoy their time on duty. And there have just been so many, like, since day one, there have been just so much sabotaging and hoops to jump through and just like fight after fight after fight. And, you know, I know that it affects some people on duty and it's tiring, you know? And it's just like when this mayoral election happened, right? Peters and I kind of took a breath and we were like, okay, we can actually just try to focus on the LSPD and do the things that we want to do. And now we're kind of like, well, can we even do the things we want to do now? Or is anything that we do going
Irrelevant.
to get shot down by the
That's
marshals?
exactly it. Because they have already started positioning themselves in the last couple weeks. And this is kind of why the fight cannot end. Because it's not just as much as I stopped talking to the DOJ because I realized it was pointless after the shit they were pulling. But
also, how do you fight something that is the DOJ / the marshals? I mean, they're
so I think here's the reality. You do nothing, they're going to keep encroaching. You're going to have marshals come in there and be like, do this, do that. Don't listen to Daisy. Don't listen to Tyler's. We know better than you. And this could be coming from someone a marshal that they just hired the day before. You know what I mean? So that pressure is only going to increase. And so now we're in a state of like, do you let that cancer metastasize or do you cut it out? And I think what Michael is working on, among some other things, which I'll bring to your attention in the coming days, I think those are the first steps towards a bigger change. And it may require a level of protest. I don't mean like officers not showing up, but just doing things if you believe them to be right and them to be constitutional. And what that does is it forces the hand of the DOJ to make their move. And I want to give you an example, right? Like this text message. I could have been like, yes, ma'am. Right away, Angel. No, I said, where's your evidence? And when she intentionally misconstrued what I said and said, I'll take it to court, I am begging her to bring it to court.
Wait, did she actually say that she'll take you to court?
Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, because I never read you the last bit. It was, this is how insane. This is her, like, I was joking with Michael. We got to give her, like, fucking hooked on phonics. I asked her, after she said stop interfering, I said, like, this is an empty threat. Like, what are you talking about? Like, give me some examples. I said, thanks for the vague note. If you want me to stop interfering, it would help to know what you're talking about. Without specifics, this feels more like a hollow threat than a serious request. I'll consider my options and reach out. She said, ordering LSPD High Command to perform specific actions, vague, while hanging their employment over their head is inappropriate conduct. And I know right away, you and Peters aren't going to Angel intending of this. So this is hearsay, right? Someone just saying this is happening. And then says, threatening to replace High Command if they don't split certs at your leisure, for example, is not appropriate. Please consider this going forward. So I get it. Maybe Bones talked to her, but even if he did, it doesn't matter. So this fucking degenerate heard from somebody something, made a conclusion, and then tried to give me a directive, and I said, fuck off. I said...
Why didn't she even bother to speak to me or Peters about it? I mean, if one of us
because you would have said it didn't happen. So why didn't she bother?
The thing is that I don't have a problem with it. Like, it happened, but I don't have a problem with it.
Yes.
I think it's a good idea. And like, given Bones's reaction to it and his comment about it benefiting LSPD, I absolutely think it's a good idea.
But let's even go further, right? Whether or not it happened or didn't happen, the fact that you and Peters, the alleged victims, were not conferred with, whether I, the person who apparently did these things, from her perspective, she doesn't know what happened from my perspective or yours. Yet she already made a conclusion, right? And then gave me, the mayor, a directive without even like what happened. So I responded to her with a simple life lesson. It's important to understand facts before making knee-jerk conclusions based on hearsay and gossip. It would do you well instead of making baseless accusations and idle threats. I mean, quite frankly, I'm not going to admit or not admit to jack shit, because if you're going to come at me sideways without any proof, whatever. You know what I mean? Especially in the way she did. And so she goes, so you're going to continue interfering in the daily options of LSPD High Command? Also, didn't write a letter full of hearsay and gossip, which isn't the case, by the way, Daisy. That open letter had a lot of citations in it. Remind me, my memory is failing in my old age. And I responded with, I don't think that's the only thing failing. She said, sick one, got me good. And then I ended with, given the unprofessional nature of this conversation, any concerns or requests can be done So with citation and reference, as our office does not operate on rumor, open letters and emails work for us. And she said, no, I think I got everything I need. I suppose I'll just post an open letter to the docket. See you in court. To which I told my staff, I fucking hope she does. I would so love a microphone on this case. I would love it. And so if you think that it is best to have your own certs, don't be afraid of the marshals. This is how we challenge the government. You know what I mean? This is how we challenge legislation. This is how we have to stand up. If it is right, if we believe we are justified legally, then let them make the move. Let them have to prove why your reasons for taking those actions are unjust and not for the betterment of not just your department, but the county as a whole. And that if these individuals want the function of hearsay and emotions and feelings and what benefits them, they're going to end up in the wrong. Because they're going to have to hold that stance in court.
You know, when I just thought about something. Do you know Alan Crane?
Yeah, I made him quit, I think. I realized I fucked up.
I've only had like a brief conversation with him. He kind of came at me sideways about the Hydra raid. But what I said, you know, about him was it's lucky for us because he seems like the kind of person who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. And in a way, it might be lucky for us again because Angel also seems like the kind of person who thinks she's the smartest person in the room. And all that leads to is arrogance and ego.
Well, I got a problem then.
You think you're the smartest guy in the room?
I know I'm the smartest guy in the room.
You got to be careful with that.
Yeah, but I am arrogant. I mean,
You got to be careful
to
with
a
that
degree.
too.
I feel like I do listen. I feel like if I didn't, I would have been very hopping on you and Peters for a while now.
Well, no, I mean, you even talked about it that, you know, there were times where you asked things of us and I came back to you with alternative solutions, you know? And I think we always came to an agreement on everything.
Yeah.
We always found some kind of middle ground. If you were that arrogant, you would have shot me down. Because you would have known better, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. In a past life, I would have just shot you, to be honest. You know, Crane helped me murder someone?
Huh.
Long time ago. Oh my God, I just realized. You know, Den could be the future justice.
I don't even know what to say about that. Alright, well, I gotta go get some food before I pass out. Unless you have any.
Oh, I got no drink, though.
That's okay. Thank you.
I'm not too concerned with the way the marshals are moving because they move like this every so often. You know, they get a little hyped up and they do some wild shit. I think they're setting themselves up to get really burned. And the the problem that I have, if I'm going to be transparent, is and this is not to downplay how officers may feel, how the public may feel, how there may be, and there has been a growing concern of like, what next? Are we powerless? Right? Is that the system at the end of this, and when I say the end of this, I mean over the course of the next like 2 weeks, which is kind of what I estimate the effort time is going to take, is that the system needs to be honed in a fashion in which it has baked in it its own set of checks and balances. Because for the justice slash marshal to be able to empower people that she directly hired under her to do whatever the fuck they want is in and of itself dangerous and anti-democratic. And that it creates an environment where the Constitution is nothing but a piece of toilet paper. And you know, because as I was sitting here and chatting with Michael of next steps and whatever, and watching Tilly bash her head on that pipe, it takes an hour for a justice slash marshal to alter something in their political benefit, laced with dog shit, but it takes 100 man hours to fight it, and that needs to change.
I mean, think about how does it make sense that let's say that, you know, we wanted to amend something to do with LSPD's legislation. Whatever that might be. You would have to post it to the docket, right? Or like, you know,
Yep.
the city hall thing. Then it would have to go into a contest phase and then potentially go to the ballot or whatever if it got contested. And then after all that, so it could take a couple weeks before you even see the result of it. But why is it that the marshals can just amend their legislation or legislation pertaining to them on a whim? Like, why don't they have to go through the same kind of steps and authorities? Is it just because Angel's a judge, so she's able to use her, you know,
Oh yeah.
use her abilities to benefit her?
Oh, it's insane, isn't it? Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Just write it up.
The way that like the DOJ amends legislation without going through any kind of audit process has always confused me. Why everyone else has to go through all of these steps, but the DOJ is able to do things without any kind of
checks and balances.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know, this whole like charade of like other justices being involved is all bullshit.
Isn't there like one other? I guess there's two.
There's Hart and there's another guy,
Hello.
but they're all like, that, with all due respect to them, they don't do anything. So like all she has to say is like, hey guys, doesn't this sound cool? And then they're like, okay, cool.
Who hires the justices? Is it Angel?
For all I know, probably. I mean, it's the Andy sheriff legislation all over again. We pick who can go up for election. It's like if the, you know what is it? The Democratic, what is it? Like, you know how like the Republicans and the Democrats, they have their own like committee or whatever, you know, and they do it's like if they got to pick both presidents or both nominees, you know.
Yeah. I don't
It's the
know.
same thing with the, you know, it's the problem that lawyers have been facing forever. Since the moment I came back to practice law, it was the biggest grievance was that the only attorneys that are getting bar licenses were ones that fit into the vision of the powers that be. And it is now worse where, oh my God. Yeah.
Are there even very many lawyers?
They step the wrong way, they lose their bar license. And because it's arbitrary, right? You just have to piss off a judge or not align with their politics and you're done. Now, obviously, no one's going to say that outright, but I think it's because they're not. When I say politics means a lot, right? Like let's say, for example, I was threatened to lose my bar license when I raised my voice once. They said that's not professional conduct. We have another lawyer that was gonna lose their license. What was it over? They had an argument with a judge, like not even in a court case. Moose Knuckles, oh my God, the amount of hurdles he had to climb to get his back. My point there is that if that system consists of a singular mind or a singular type of politic, and they are the ones that hire and fire, then everything is within their vision. And if you are outside of that political vision, you are out. And if you're not out by choice, they will make an environment in which you see no reason to remain. So, but like I said, I think a lot of those things I think is, I'm going to start throwing these boulders, and I think that is the direction I am going to really stop pressing. I mean, quite frankly, I think any state legislation should require at minimum a referendum or something. It has to follow similar processes. Otherwise, it's just lazy. It doesn't allow peer review. It doesn't allow democratic voice, and it is inherently backwards that we have been given these systems, yet the state does not have to follow the systems. Because it makes any county legislation pointless at that point. And it slowly deteriorates the culture of the city. Because it reminds them, it's a constant reminder that, hey, we gave you a way to vote, but guess what? That vote doesn't count.
I'm gonna be completely honest, and I know we've already spoken about this, but I'll be a broken record. The fact that we could only vote for one mayor, but I can vote on Blaine County legislation, blows my mind.
It was in my open letter. She genuinely could not comprehend. Like, I think she needs hooked on phonics. I pointed that out. It was lost. It was gerrymandering. Carte en blanche gerrymandering. Because they had an artificial declaration of residency that had no inherent meaning. You might as well have said, do you like the color blue? Team, you're going to be, do you like the color blue or do you like the color red? Now pick one of the mayors. Like,
I mean, I think you're right. You know, if that had resulted in only, you know, Blaine County residents being able to vote on Blaine County legislation, honestly, I could kind of get behind it more because I think it holds more weight, and then you have more of a say on, you know, the mayor, you know, the legislation within the county that you reside in, right? But the fact that it doesn't hold weight, you know? Like, it can't be one or the other. It kind of has to be all or nothing, in my opinion.
Well, that was the audacity of it all, because in the letter she's like, didn't you want residents, and I'm like, I do. I want it today. In fact, we're already writing some to do their fucking job for them, right? Because I did want residents, but that requires you to document it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's not like it's crazy. It's you know, it's just crazy. Yeah, it's copium to think that what they're doing is in good faith. It's the reason why that they can walk around with their heads up high in the arrogance is because they're writing the rules and they're saying, well, look, they changed the rules. See, I'm doing it right. Change the rules again. Oh, okay. See, there's nothing wrong with it. But I think anyone with who looks at the entire picture rationally knows that it smells like ass. Like, I'm sorry. Am I to believe that? Like, I mean, this Pred thing. Oh, come on. What, they just found 2 guns this week? You're telling me that they didn't hunt it? How often, can I ask, how often are you raiding properties for negligent ownership of a firearm or stockpiling? Like in a month's time? Would you say like a dozen?
No.
6?
I maybe that. I feel like that's generous, to be completely honest.
So based on basic probability, it's like, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, look at what we found. Oh, shit. Oh, look at that, Pred. You know what? We just happen to be going on this raid, too. Like, you know, the whole, like, marshal department. You know, like,
Yeah.
fuck out of here.
I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know if you were there when I said it, but the only thing that I would have told them, had they informed Peters and myself about it, was just double check your work. Like, make sure that whatever you have, like, is right. Because if it turns out that, you know, more things are reported, or it's, you know, you don't have the probable cause, this is going to be a huge issue.
It already is, Daisy. Could they have raided Pred while he's sleeping in bed in the apartment?
What do you mean?
You're talking about the Pred raid, right?
Yeah, but what exactly
was his apartment able to be raided if he's asleep?
I don't believe so. But
so then
obviously
how did
I don't want to get like too much into the details
no,
of
no,
it
no, no.
and everything.
Absolutely understood. But it draws to question, how did Angel walk into that roof and say, mission accomplished, we got him, boys, when the investigation should have very obviously underlined that the apartment would have been the target to begin with, up until a couple hours ago. And the officers would have had to have known this. And because there's no way you're pulling up this guy's profile over and over and over again and planning for this, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's a warehouse. Oh, I didn't realize it was there the entire time. No. They completed it with him asleep, knowing full well, like, I don't know, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ass. They're playing. They're the dungeon master in a game of Dungeons and Dragons. Except anytime, you know, you fight the dragon, they spawn another one. They just bring another one in. They just fly it in. They're like, oh, you thought you were going to beat me, the great wizard. My nephews, they play D&D. Donnie used to play Warhammer.
If they pursue charges, they'll have to post to the docket, right?
I guess we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're all Bach and not they're a lot of Bach. I don't think they've got the bite, so I'm not concerned. And I think pressing them, if anything, is healthy. And I will very plainly be calling them out very vocally on their bullshit. And the worst they can do is impeach me. And you know, I'm a very dangerous man when I got nothing to lose. You feel me? Like, and I know that could jeopardize a lot of things that people want in the county, but there will be nothing if I don't fight, when I don't bite back.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, honestly. I mean, like you said, Angel, or the marshals, they want Peters and myself out. They want you out, you know. It's kind of like, well, if they already want us out, might as well do the things that, you know, we want to do.
Look, I mean, look, we're dealing with the marshals who I think tried to bait a shootout during the Hell Week.
What do you mean?
When they brought the tanks out the day after our little UN meeting. You think that was a coincidence? These people are playing fucking checkers.
I gotta figure out what to do about the PD meetings. Because I really, I don't want, you know, I don't want people to be discouraged. It's hard because I think people enjoy the meetings. I don't want to take it away from people. But also, I don't want people to go to the, you know, go to the meeting and then just hear marshals be like, all right, we're overseeing you guys now. You got to do things this way. You got to do things that way.
If you look at anyone's text messages, you're going to be fired. Oh, I can't wait for the meetings.
I think you're right with the oversight play. I mean, you're right. Oversight is different than authority.
Yeah.
Oversight, you're literally just overseeing.
Yeah. You don't have like the oversight of the United States of America. Mr. You know, Biden. Biden the oversighter. You don't have the oversighter of Congress, you know? The oversight of police. No, there's like, it's such a bastardization of the intent of that word.
Is that really all it says? That they have oversight?
Yeah, it says...
I'm not on duty right now.
The DOJ shall have a law enforcement agency that is responsible for overseeing other law enforcement offices. They are also responsible for preserving the integrity and safety of the state, the Constitution, citizen rights, and the law of the state. So when you unpack what this says, this is like a very like procedural...
I remember Angel put that in her legislation, something about, you know, protecting the people or preserving the dignity of the state or some shit.
Yeah.
Like that was her justification for the ability to interfere with with PD procedures.
Yeah. Well, they inherently would have to articulate a lot of these series of things, and that's, I think, kind of where I think these audits come into play, is that they're likely cherry picking incidents and saying, oh my god, all these bad things are happening, we got to step in. Come on, Daisy, let's go. Espino's in the vehicle. Nova, stop going after drug sales. And then they get him in the car and they're like, okay, we got to go save the day. And then they just shout some things and then expect it all to get fixed. I can't wait to play with this food. I really can't. I'm excited for tomorrow. You know, one time I had Kyle Pred chasing me for about 4 months, thinking I had murdered somebody. It was actually Andy Jones and my brother Denzel.
Wait, Andy Jones murdered someone?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the entire PD thinking I had something to do with it. I wasn't even there that weekend. I just woke up. See, Lang used to take off certain days and there'd be chaos. I would take off certain days, there'd be chaos. But we were both not around. He wasn't around the next day, so I just heard like all this fucking investigation shit's happening, so I fucking started up. Made him think I had some involvement. The situation with Crane, that was something else. I stirred it up with Bob Smith so heavily that this motherfucker went into prison and threatened a witness that he'd fucking end them if he didn't tell the truth about my involvement, which, mind you, I had none.
When he witness tampered?
Oh, yeah. He went into prison, blacked out. So there was a woman named, what was her name? It was like Prostitute Block or something like that. And it was like the Block family, and she was like the smart one, kept them all up and going. And there was a guy named Otto Delma, friend of mine, his wife Sophia, and the kid, I forgot what his kid's name was. It was some fucking dumb fuck, and he used to sell coke like here at the casino. And so, like, Prostitute Block or whatever. Hookah Block, that was her name. Well, that was her street name. She used to like sell for this kid, right? Called him my nephew. He used to sell it as like G Fuel. And apparently Enzo Block or Ezio Block or something like that. Engine Block. Yeah, that was his name. Engine Block. He ended up, I guess, getting caught with coke, and so he gets brought into interrogation. First lawyer goes in. Conflicted. Next one goes in. Conflicted. Next one goes in. This guy works for me. And he's like, finds out I have someone, like, he brings up Uncle Nino. Says, you know, the little piece of shit in interrogation. It's like, oh, I'm conflicted, so he leaves. So then they brought in Crane. It's like, okay, this guy's like, you know, this guy would never, you know, we can trust this guy. Like, you know, he's so straight edge. First thing Crane does, he gives me a phone call. He goes, yo, this little shit, he's like snitching on you and a bunch of other people, you know. So separately, Hookah finds out, Hookah Block, and she execute this guy up in Polito. And now I got Bob Smith thinking I executed him. And he thinks, no one thinks it's Crane. Everyone thinks it's this other lawyer that came to me and gave me information I was not interested in. And that lawyer, like, you know when you get worked up in your own bullshit? Like, I genuinely, when this guy told me, like, oh my God, this guy's saying, I didn't give a fuck. But he told me and then freaked out I would do something, even though I literally just wanted to go to sleep. Went to the cops and said Nino might murder me because I told him all these things. And I think I caused this guy to die. So now Hookah Block gets found mid-execution or post-execution. Gets thrown into prison for like 60 years or something. And Bob Smith is apparently had been tailing me, had been subpoenaing my phones, didn't get nothing because I didn't exactly have any involvement. People tell me things. And he was so convinced I was involved that Hookah told me that he went into Bolingbrook. Like, this is like a month into the investigation, 6 weeks in the investigation. It had drove him so insane that he went into prison and threatened her to admit under recording that I told her to do the hit. And that was the only way she's going to get out of prison.
What?
But she never did. She never admitted to it. Because there was nothing to admit, even though she could have said it just to get out of jail. But the reason I bring that up is, you know, I can be a very annoying motherfucker.
Oh, good. We're gonna need you to be.
Oh, I'm gonna really enjoy myself these next couple days.
All right.
Like I said, I told the marshals with Angel there, I'm gonna be auditing all marshal interactions with LSPD. I'll probably start conducting interviews this week.
You know what would be nice is if BCSO just focused on BCSO, LSPD just focused on LSPD, and I don't know, the marshals, I mean, their purpose is like to prosecute police. I mean, it's odd now that they not only prosecute police but at this also on top of that, they oversee and, you know, basically policy make now within the PD.
They may try to, but
What was it like? What was going on before the marshals? You know, was there just like a lack of accountability to the point where there needed to be marshals? I mean,
I was so Max had tried to play like dictator, right? So Max was a terrorist. And I know this because I was in a room with him talking about dropping a bomb, nuclear bomb on San Andreas. Like he was on some like fucking crazy shit. I remember this was like 6 years ago. In fact, I had given him his first AK-47. Long time back. Long fucking time back. That AK-47 landed him in prison after he shot down a bunch of people at a jewelry store. My nephews ended up breaking him out. And at that night, he was talking about something. And, but it was some, like, end-of-world shit, right? So this kind of gives you some idea of who this guy was, right? He was a megalomaniac, so to speak. His justice was through the vision of a like government corruption, right? At the time. He used to call it the gnomes. He had a manifesto. The notion that government entities try to control the people and yada, yada, yada. Fast forward, he's a new man, right? Becomes the mayor. But he's no longer who he once was. Instead, he's kind of like I don't know, like kind of like scuffed Leisure Suit Larry. And I say this, do you know who Leisure Suit Larry is?
Mm-mm.
It was like a video game, like on the computer a long time back, where this like sleazy guy, the entire game is trying to have sex with people, but you never do. You like collect items and like you know, you have to, like, the entire game is, there's like 9 versions of it. I was extremely young. It was one of those things where, like, you know, one of my, you know, friends' parents probably had it like installed on the PC, but you weren't able to, you know, we weren't supposed to play it, but like, it's like, you know, whatever. Anyways, so watching him in action, he would listen to whatever person he was in a relationship and run with it. Everything, right? He was not, and to give you an example, at the behest of his number one, he denied my business of 60 individuals, right? Running the only mechanic shop and the only business running in Los Santos with like employees, the only mechanic shop, like it was functioning. But because of some bullshit, like petty shit between like Eve and whatever, he denied it. Where I'm trying to point is he went from fucking super terrorist to like, yes, sweetie, I got you. You know what I mean? But not in a good way, but more like, you know, who knows what his end goals were. As time went on, and some of this I wasn't around for, but as I've been told, is he decided that the police department, under the helm of the 3 captains, was not doing things in the vision that he believed it needed to be done. Specifically, I guess people were like suspended that were close to him, and that he believed that the police weren't like authoritative enough, and he then enacted himself as the commissioner. And what resulted in that was a lot of upheaval. And so ultimately, fast forward again, this is when the Constitution was put together. I was battling civilian rights, people not getting their FOIAs, a lot of people getting charged with negligent ownership of a firearm. A lot of people I don't even see around anymore, quite frankly, where people are just getting randomly charged with shit, like literally waking up with like secret raid warrants, no interrogations, just nothing. It's clean civilians who make the city beat. Soze had made his way back into the city, you know, ex-trooper, whatever, was in a vehicle with Bones. Bones took a nap. Soze then tried to drive his vehicle back to BCSO. Because he drove it back to BCSO, Bones pops out and is like, you stole my fucking car, and tries to arrest him. To which Soze pulls a gun out, and he was on some like, that's against the Constitution shit or whatever. And it leads into some like Bones hyper fucking Den Shiesty level, except at a more egregious level, escalated the situation so bad that it turned into a shootout, and this guy's in prison. Soze brings it to court. At that court case is Hart this other judge that's not around anymore, and Bailey. In his court case, the judges, Bailey walks out. So this entire court case, Soze is arguing that the PD was operating under unconstitutional directives, right? And I can't go over like specifically because it's been a while. At the end of that court case, they say it's not guilty, that he's guilty. And then I believe it then comes out that Bailey had walked out halfway through this court case and no one knew why. And even though the demeanor of everyone in that courtroom was, these judges have literally already calling this guy a terrorist, like they've already made their judgment, which is fucked, right? It shows inherent bias without facts and whatever in front of them. It turns out that the two judges, except for Bailey, had stated to Bailey that they needed to have motioned for a mistrial because of some procedural things. I forgot what those procedural things were. They were pretty egregious. But they were going to listen to it anyways. Even though in the Constitution, it literally says they can't do that. So there's me fighting one battle, Soze battling another, and then the people of Los Santos standing up and fighting, trying to raid the DOJ, and it turned into a big shootout. So at the helm of these three powers came the Constitution. So, does that answer your question? There's a lot of backstory here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Things flowed a lot better.
Before?
Yes. I think because the DOJ was generally hands off, and now the DOJ is a scuffed trooper department that's run by the active justice. The most active of the judges. That's probably a better way to put it. So it turned from Law and Order into like scuff Game of Thrones. Where Tyrion Lannister is writing the playbook. So.
Well, I guess we'll just have to see how the next couple of days go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what they do with their first set of powers. I can't wait for some junior marshal coming in and being like, telling someone to do some stupid shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I gotta call Bones. Probably head out of here. But let me know how tomorrow goes. I'll check in with you when I
All right.
get on duty tomorrow.
Hopefully Pred doesn't start a fucking war.
Oh, wouldn't be surprised.
All right.
All right. Thank you for your time,
Yep.
Nino. I appreciate it as always.
Yep. Anytime.
Okay.
All
I'll
right.
talk to you soon.
Take care.
Hello.
Hey, how can I